Cars talks are facts or opinions, and opinions are facts. Unless you lived under a rock, over the past week, you probably have seen this. I mean, video after video about the HEMI coming back. Oh, I thought Dodge was done with the HEMI. They're not going to do no more. That was it. They were pushing to get rid of all those cars. This was it. You're not going to get another HEMI. You're not getting another car like it ever again. Well, it looks like we're getting the HEMI again, everyone. And it looks like the Charger is finally getting the engine it deserves, which is a HEMI. So yeah, really cool. And you know, it's really interesting because on my other channel, 1 year ago, actually a little over a year ago, it was March 8th of last year, I made a video on that channel. This one here, calling out Tim Kniskis for saying the HEMI's not done. HEMI was not done. I know it wasn't done. I wasn't the only one who thought that way. There were quite a few people who, you know, were agreeing with it was all smoke and mirrors. HEMI was not done. HEMI could not be done. HEMI was their bread and butter. I will say that during that video, things were different. We weren't really sure who was going to be the next president at that time. Also at that time, little did I know that Tim Kniskis would resign as the CEO. What I said in that video was going around, you know, knowing him and his enthusiasm for performance cars. Once he left, I'm like, maybe it ain't looking too good for the HEMI. But then he came back, not for Dodge, but for Ram. He's still in there and he can still advocate for the HEMI. And he knows better. And once I saw him come back to Ram, I'm like, well, this actually might be a good sign. And it goes back to the HEMI ain't dead. HEMI was never dead. And while it feels so good to be right, I wasn't completely right with everything I said in this video. Not at all. But I'll take the win when I can.
And I fully expect to see the HEMI back in the Charger in the upcoming future. So let me talk about that. I think you're going to have to wait. But I do see them holding off. I think they're going to let this come in, this new generation come in. They're going to see how sales go. They're going to see where things go. But I can tell you right now, they have a hybrid HEMI setup powertrain sitting on the side waiting.
Okay, so that's where I was wrong. See, I thought that they were going to develop a hybrid powertrain. Still keep a HEMI, just it's not going to be a supercharged form, and it probably wouldn't be no more than the 5.7. But a 5.7 with a stout hybrid system, like maybe it was a HO 5.7 or something. I mean, you could get 400 horsepower, no problem out of a 5.7. So they definitely could have done it. It's just that's not what happened. You know, they brought back it all. The 5.7, the 6.4, and the 6.2 Hellcat. Here's an article from a week ago. Motor Trend. HEMI V8s are so back and are headed for Dodge muscle cars. Ram truck fans got exciting news 2 weeks ago when a dealer in Wisconsin leaked details of an internal Stellantis presentation confirming the return of the 5.7 HEMI V8 and a Ram 1500, which for 2025 model year had gone 6-cylinder only. A new report claims that other HEMIs, including the 6.4-liter 392 and the supercharged 6.2-liter Hellcat V8s, are also coming available again after a year off, and they're not only headed to Ram trucks, but the new Dodge Charger. So the chickens have come home to roost, it looks like, and then we are finally seeing what I thought would happen. Why do you think manufacturers never release all their good stuff up front? Because if they did, they couldn't drum up sales later on with new exciting models. You know, like when the new Mustang came out, and Ford was like, oh yeah, it's just EcoBoost GT and a Dark Horse, which was great. We're like, okay, well, that's fine. Where's our Shelbys? Where's our, this and that and the other? Like, that's all you're doing for this all new generation that you're pushing. And then eventually, as time went on, to, regain more enthusiasm, they announced the GTD, which, awesome car, but really who cares because no one can afford it. Now there's talks about, a new Shelby, and there's new trims for the EcoBoost. So this is what happens. Car manufacturers do this. They say, oh, they're coming out with just this. But really, they have a whole plan. They have a launch and a timeline for new trim levels and everything as they bring out these generations, right? Same thing here with Dodge. When they debuted this new Charger, they pretty much debuted it as an EV. To no one's surprise, received awful, pushback. Like, no one wanted that. They never demonstrated the Hurricane 6-cylinder version, which probably would be, that engine in itself, I don't know if it's really been super great yet, but architecture of that engine is very suitable for performance. So I think that's a good alternative, but you're never going to match the driving experience of a rumbly, loud, obnoxious HEMI V8, okay? You're just not. That 6-cylinder very well could be pretty dang fast, but most people would probably choose the slower HEMI just to have the HEMI. That's what sells, man. Now that this new Charger's been out and no one's buying them, they're barely moving the EVs. I don't even know about the Hurricane 6 version. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. If anyone's really care about that either. I've seen nothing about it. I think now they are coming to the point where, well, they've seen sales are not responding well. Time to kick out some news to keep people excited. Here we are. Now we bringing all our Hemis back. You're probably bringing back the 6.4 for a scat pack. See, I don't even know how they're going to do trim levels now, unless they're going to carry the same trim levels for both the EV and gas versions, or they just going to have completely different trim levels. They're probably going to share the same trim levels. You're probably still going to have a scat pack. It's just literally, are you doing a scat pack Hemi? Or are you doing a snack pack EV? That's what they should call it. It should be snack pack for the EV and scat pack for the Hemi. So I don't know. I guess that part still remains to be seen. The new Charger is getting the powertrain it deserves. Now they said that, and I knew from it was bullcrap, that when they said they couldn't fit the Hemi in, because it was all like tongue in cheek. When the news comes out about that, have you ever heard there was journalists asking the engineers, and this the way the engineers presented the information told me everything. The words you use are one thing, how you say it's completely different. I knew they couldn't develop this new Charger and not develop it with having a V8 in mind, whether they could have used it or not, because they know the V8 was all their money. That was their moneymaker. I'm sure they had already considered this. And now with the current presidency, it's actually more favorable for auto manufacturers to produce these vehicles. So they're going to be able to churn these things out like crazy. Because the thing is, if now all of a sudden they can, a Hemi fits fine. If they didn't already have it developed to work with a Hemi in the first place, there's no way that they would probably be able to get the chassis modified for V8 production and it still pass all of the testing, because you got to think it's just more than just fitting the engine in there. They got to do crash testing with these engines, I'm pretty sure, because it changes everything. The different weight of those engines changes things. They're gonna have to use different spring rates probably for the front springs. All that has to be changed, or it usually is. They also have to think about cooling, because different engines require different cooling. When they design a chassis and they design the aero of it, they design the cooling to make sure they can fit the right radiator. And maybe all of that is just plug and play for the Hemis for what they already have. When they developed this new Charger, they actually did a smart thing where if they knew they were going to offer an EV variant of it, they still based it on the same platform. It is a dual purpose platform, which is smart, really smart for Dodge to do that. Do it that way. Unlike some manufacturers, Ford, and the abomination we not like to refer to as a Mustang, but rather just call it the Mach-E, would have been fantastic. Ford, on the other hand, decided that they wanted to develop a completely separate vehicle and just use the same branding as the Mustang. Where Dodge, they have the same branding, the same chassis. It's just a matter of, you want an EV, you got it. You want gas, Well, guess what? Now you got it. And the thing is, you're going to have a lot more options now with the Charger compared to the competition. Because if you want an EV, you got it. And we know that they have different levels of EV coming because there's that whole Banshee thing, which is going to be ridiculous. Assuming they continue with that, you're going to have different levels of EV performance. You're also going to have different flavors of gas performance. You can go with the Hurricane 6-cylinder. We know we can get rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. I mean, a twin-turbo 6-cylinder all-wheel drive car sounds like a pretty good time, especially with already 500 horsepower. That's going to be a nice option. You're going to be able to get it with a V8. So you're going to have multi-level trim levels with a V8. You know, you don't want the V6 experience. You want the experience of a V8. You'll be able to get that. And we know the Hellcat's coming back too. And a Hellcat, version of the Charger is going to be crazy because we know that engine makes 700 plus horsepower in OEM form. Whether it lasts long or not is one thing. Just the fact that you can get it from the OEM, from the manufacturer with that much power, we know exists. So the recipe is out there. They have all of it already. They built one car to do it all. And yeah, that's fine because realistically, if we're going to defend Dodge here in any way, we know that the previous presidential administration and the previous EPA made life really hard for manufacturers. They issued a ban on internal combustion engines for production, a timeline, a deadline for it. They just make, fuel efficiency targets higher and higher. And then they said, you know what? If your fuel efficiency targets aren't high enough, we're not letting you even sell things with a V8. That's why Ford did what they did with the Mustang Mach-E. And they even admitted that, we built the Mustang Mach-E so we could sell more Mustang GTs or GT500s at the time. And probably so, they probably did do it that way for that reason. No different here with Dodge. And the reason why they revealed the Charger initially as an EV, they made the Charger the way it was so they can later sell the Charger we want. As stupid as that is, because the thing is with this new Charger, I love the way the damn thing looks. I think it's a great looking car. It's got a lot of retro styling. The interior looks really nice. You got to give it the right sound and the right experience. Also, man, offer a manual transmission. Please give a manual with a HEMI. Lord willing, that will happen because if it does, that's going to be a nice car. Then you're going to start to see a lot more people interested in it. I bet you sales will probably really pick up for the Charger. Because no one's buying the Mustang, really. The Mustang sales are suffering. And since there's no other competition, people who wanted a Charger or new Charger or new something, and they didn't make it, well, now they have hope. Going back to our Motor Trend article, it says the initial report goes on to say that the engines will likely be a carryover design. New enhancements could be in the cards, but also broach the possibility of a new HEMI variant with a greater displacement than the 6.4 liter already found in the Ram HD, and that the new report suggests V8 Charger will come to the market sometime next year following the EV model already available and the 6-pack inline 6 models coming this summer. They started off with the EV. That's going to make the EPA happy because they weren't sure which way things were going at the time they were developing this car. EV was the first rollout. Then they roll out the first gas option, the 6-cylinder. So a lot more enthusiasts are interested in that. But now, I don't even know, unless you specifically want that Hurricane i6, now with this news, anyone probably who was in the market is probably going to wait for that V8. And there's talks of a bigger HEMI. So that also makes me wonder if the bigger HEMI is going to be a performance engine or is that going to be like a truck engine like the 7.3 Godzilla from Ford. Then again, they also offered it as a performance engine through their aftermarket. So I don't know. Will they develop a 7-liter HEMI? A 426? Wouldn't that be crazy? Holy crap. They brought back a 426. That would be nuts. It'd be awesome if they offered it in a Charger straight from the factory, but that'd be nuts. Or they offer that in some hybrid thing. Maybe that's still in the cards. I don't know. All I know is the Charger got a hell of a lot more interesting. And people are going to keep their eyes peeled on what's going on because we got something here, folks. We got something here. Finally. Looks like the Charger is going to probably give the Mustang a run for its money, too. I think the Mustang finally has some good competition, which means we should maybe see some better versions of the Mustang. Hopefully, this all works out for all of us and we'll all be happy. We'll all get what we want, at least for the next 4 years. After that, who knows? But for the next 4 years, we're all happy again. Life is good. Everything's great. That's it for this video. Let me know what you think. Put your thoughts in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Share with everyone you know. If you want to see more content like this and you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Keep a lookout for next Karz Talks video.